the webinar on recent trends in automotive industry. We are conducting this webinar in association with Indo-European Technology Center, IETC, Germany. Our institution, Chalapathi Institute of Technology, Motadaka, Guntur, was established in the year 2008 and by Sri Y.V. Anjaneyal Garu and is accredited with A grade by NAC. Since the inception of the institution, we are imparting high quality technical education by conducting various programs like faculty development programs, seminars, guest lectures to the need of the students, faculty, industrial people, and research scholars. Due to COVID pandemic situation, now we concentrating on conducting webinars on online faculty development programs. We have successfully conducted several programs so far. And previously also, in association with the IETC, we conducted one program on career opportunities. Today, we are going to conduct another webinar in association with IETC on recent trends in automotive sector. And for this program, two young engineers who settled in Germany, they came forward to give their views about the recent trends in automotive industry. I thank one of them is Mr. Murugan Ganeshan, R&D scientist, a man, truck and bus, Germany. And another young engineer is Mr. Krishna Chaitanya, project manager, RDAG, Germany. I express our heartfelt thanks to both of them on behalf of Chalapathi Institute of Technology, Motadaka, and requesting them to be with us in conducting such kind of programs in future also. And I also thank our IQSC coordinator, Professor Uday Karan, who have made elaborate arrangements for conducting this webinar. The response to this webinar is also overwhelming. And I also thank our mechanical engineering faculty for making arrangements to this program. I request all the participants to stay till the end of the program, and after submission of the feedback, these certificates will be automatically mailed to their respective mails. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. Chaitanya, you may start now.
Okay. So, yeah, as I said, welcome to our webinar on recent trends in automotive sector. So we are representing the Indo-European Technology Center. This webinar will be is conducted in collaboration with Chalapathi Institute of Technology in Guntur, Motadaka. Thank you for the collaboration. Like I would like to just start with a short introduction about ourselves. So myself, Krishna Baladi, I have been working as a project manager at Audi Automobiles since the past 5 years. I have successfully led a couple of connected car projects to its completion. And previously, I was also into research and development, technical guy, did some publications, and I own also a patent in this field. So I'm quite excited to give you this webinar today, give you more insights into the recent trends in the automotive sector. So over to Mr. Murugan.
Thank you, Mr. Krishna. Yeah, I am Murugan Ganesan. I have 8 years of experience in automotive sector. I did my master's in automotive engineering in Technical University of Aachen. And then I worked in different automotive companies like Bosch, and then I switched to Audi, and then now to MAN Truck and Bus. I am into the software development in the powertrain division, and I lead a team, even in India too, to develop softwares for the powertrain manager, which I use in the MAN trucks and buses. So I'm very excited to give the webinar on the recent trends in automotive sector, so that I can impart my knowledge, which I got it in industry, to you all fellow students. Thank you.
Okay. I'll also tell you a few words about our the initiative Indo-European Technology Center. Yeah, could you please go to the next slide, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so the main focus of this Indo-European Technology Center is to establish a bridge in between the industry, the real industry, and the university in this case. So basically imparting the practical experiences and practical knowledge from the industry, transporting this know-how to the university, basically the university students in this case, as a part of webinars. We are also conducting internships, workshops for the students, and for the skill development in our branches of Indo-European technology. This is all a part of teaching you the practical experience and the industrial know-how, how it really works in industry, and making you ready for the job opportunities and the real work industry. And the second aim is to connect the universities, in this case the Indian universities, with the German counterparts. So we also have partnerships here in Germany with the German universities. So we would like to also do it on a bigger level. So that's I would say the core aims of it. So there are two main branches. In India, we started our operations initially in Noida, and we'll be starting soon in Guntur by the end of this month. Currently we provide, as I said, the internships, workshops, and project developments. So that's a few short introduction about our initiative. Then I would like to give it over to Mr. Murugan, and we'll start with the webinar for today.
Thank you, Mr. Krishna. So let me start with our webinar. So it's on the current trends in automotive technology. So the thing is, past 150 years, it has been we have been seeing combustion engines development in automotive industry. But primarily, the cars were almost running on the fossil fuels of petrol and diesel engines. But I think the current trend and the future trend is completely different. I think people are aware of all the climate change happening. So the trends are going towards more of climate change, and then of safety, and as well as towards the smart direction. So it's a small introduction. Let me go to the slides directly. So what are the current trends at present? It's the first thing is the electrification of the cars. So it's not going to be in future, the combustion engines will be replaced with electric cars, which will be driven by electric motors with batteries charged. So why do we choose electric cars? Why can't, I mean, what's the purpose of it? It's first of all, it's emission free, and then it has low level of noise. But when you burn the fossil fuels, for example, in the thermal power plants, and then charge the electric cars, then it's not CO2 neutral. That means you have to go for the renewable energy, and then when we charge our cars while running, then it's CO2 neutral. So I think the electric cars are being in the R&D development. It's intensively researched, and then there are lots of serious cars already on the roads in Europe as well as in Asia market. Next is autonomous driving. You have seen in movies, you have seen like in Hollywood movies where the cars drive by itself. It's no more the fantasy. It's already a reality. Yeah, I mean, because of the machine learning and then artificial intelligence, you can drive in complex traffic situations, and then these cars can intervene by themselves, and it can drive by itself. And these new technologies bring lots of new solutions. For example, the autonomous with electrification and then shared drive. For example, the Uber in Singapore already has a autonomous taxi, and then it gets shared among the people in the cities. So it's the solutions are, the industry is completely getting completely modified, and then it's going more into the software side at present. And we have the connected car. What does it mean by connected cars? So we all use smartphones, and the car becomes smart. The thing is, this electrification and autonomous, it's about the cars, I mean the components completely inside. But the connected car is something, the ecosystem is outside of the car. Like we use GPS, and then we can use internet, surf the system, and we can connect with the traffic lights and so on. I think Mr. Krishna, he'll be giving more in detail about the connected cars, and then I'll be more going into the autonomous driving to give a few examples, what systems it's already existing in the market, and I will show a few videos too. Okay. So first, I would describe what are the different levels of autonomous driving, because the thing, because it's also like you have legislations for legal barriers which need to be crossed for all the, if you want to give the car for the series production. First, there are different levels of autonomous driving. The first is, I mean, there are 5 levels. The first level is just assist the driver. For example, the cruise control. If you take the cruise control, it just controls the speed. If you put like a speed of 80 kilometer, you go constant at the 80 kilometer in the highway, but the driver has to take the control always, just assist the driver. So it's the level 1. What is level 2? The level 2, where it assists, it's not only assist the longitudinal part of the car, also the lateral. The longitudinal means it's more of braking and then acceleration. The lateral dynamics, it's more of steering. So the car assists, I mean, car itself steers as well as brakes and accelerates, but the driver takes the full responsibility if something accident happens. That's the level 2. And level 3. The level 3, it's highly automated driving, where in some situations, for example, in highways, the driver can take a rest for few situations, and then the car drive by itself completely. And then the car, on these situations, the car has the responsibility when the accident happens or any malfunction happens. And the level 4. The level 4 is fully automated in almost all the situations. Car drive on its own, and the driver can even sleep during the journey. And level 5. Level 5 is fully automated. I mean, the driver, he doesn't have to sit before the steering wheel. He can sit backside and he can take rest, and he takes the full control. So the thing is, in what level we are in at present. So we have different driver assistance systems in level 1 and level 2, which are already on the roads, and level 3 is on the development side. I'll go in detail of level 1 and level 2 in next slides. So this is, I've put a few examples. This is adaptive cruise control. This is the level 1 driver assistance systems. And I already explained about the cruise control, where you can just set the speed and then you can drive. I mean, it takes the constant speed in the car, and then you have to brake in the cruise control. But this is adaptive cruise control. Here you have radar and front camera for direction of the vehicle. And then depending upon the distance between the front vehicle, the distance is set, but it's automatically, and car maintains a speed which you set. For example, you are setting 130 kilometer per hour, it goes 130 kilometer per hour car. And then if the car is coming in front of it, it brakes automatically. And then when the distance gets increased, car accelerates again. It means the car accelerates and brakes by itself. So how it is done. So you have different sensors here. You have ultrasonic sensors to monitor the immediate environment. and they use radar and laser scanners and front camera for detection of the vehicles, and accordingly the software reacts to it at a high speed. So I have a video of it so that you students can understand better. Okay, can you see the videos, everyone? So they said, can you see the video? What's running? Okay.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah, okay. So let me start it again. So first the radar sends the signal, and then based upon digital image processing, detects the vehicle at present. So it slows down, it brakes, the car brakes now automatically. You can see that. But this lane change happens by the driver, not by the system, ACC. So it travels again, and there's another sprinter coming in between, and then it stops, brakes, and then it starts again. So this is the basic adaptive cruise control in the cars. And there is some traffic jam, the car almost coming to a halt automatically, and it starts again. So these are systems are almost getting in German market. It's almost in all the cars you can opt for. It's not a must at present, but you can opt for it if you pay extra money. So that's the video of it. Stop it and go back to the presentation. Okay, next one, we have the active lane assist. It's also under one driving and driver assistance systems, where there is a camera, and the camera detects the lane here, and then the software and the ECU inside it controls the car so that the car remains on the lane. For example, the car deviates from the lane, and then the car gets steered again so that it's always lies in the middle of the lane. So it intervenes, the system intervenes in the electromechanical power steering, and then it steers the car very mild, and then as a comfort for the driver. And the driver can also set, if he wants, he can set a vibration mode on the steering wheel. If the car goes out of the lane, it vibrates, and the driver knows that, yeah, it's going out of the lane, and then he can put the car in the middle of the lane. So it's another driving system where it's much, useful for the driver, and it's a comfort for the driver when he drives on the long journeys, for example. So I have a video for that too, a short video. Oops. So using the camera, the car detects the lanes and the track also, which track it's going. So you can see that in the left. So the car is like, for example, it's going right side of the lane, and it's vibrating for the steering wheel, so that the driver corrects the car to the middle of the lane. So that's a short video. So then, so third one I want to, it's a adaptive cruise assist. It's the level 2 of automation, which is already existing in the high-end cars, in Audi, in Daimler, Mercedes-Benz, and then in BMW. You have all these luxury cars, you have the adaptive cruise assist. It's basically, it's a combination of adaptive cruise control and then lane assist. That means the car can brake, it can accelerate, and then it can also steer for the entire speed range from 0 to 200 km/h. So it's almost, it's automation actually. But the driver has the responsibility. That's the point here. So here it's a car, for example, as I said, it has a laser scanner, it has a radar, and then it has ultrasonic, and then camera. So it uses all its input devices to get the information of the environment, and then it adapts to the environment. And yeah, one more thing is you have different speed ranges. For example, you have speed limits in autobahns, we call highways in Germany. So based upon the camera, it detects the speed limits in the boards, and then it adapts to the speed automatically. So that the driver can just sit and just keep the hand on the steering wheel just nearby, and the car does it itself. So let me show you an interesting video. It's then the students can understand much better. It's an A8, Audi A8. Oh, sorry, it's an A6 limousine. Stop. So I'm stopping the video. You can see that where the sensors are lying. You have ultrasonic sensors in the front and in the back. You have the radar at the back. You have a long range radar and the laser scanner, and you have your corner radar, and you have a front camera before the mirror. And then you have the central driver assistance controller system where all the data gets processed. And you have the safety computer and then gateway for the communication between the ECUs. So the car contains almost 80 ECUs. So the car is not anymore the mechanical one. It's more of electronics and digital one at present. That's the point I want to say for it. So the ultrasonic sensors are for the immediate environment. It's also used for the parking. I'll come to that. And you have the front camera, yeah. So what does the car do by itself? So the driver assistance system is on. He sets it, the driver. So it maintains the distance for the car. And it's driving on the urban area. So it takes from the navigation system, it's urban area. And then it also adapts the speed limit of 50 km/h in Germany, for example. So there's intersection, it automatically detects the intersection, and then it also steers automatically. Because of the navigation, it knows the route. The driver is already given the goal of the where he has to reach the destination. So as I said, it takes from the navigation data. So there's a camera which directs the lane as well as the speed limit, the camera. And using the digital image processing, it adapts the speed. And then it adapts to the bends and climbs, slopes. It detects it, it has all the sensors, and it manages this car fuel efficiently. For example, it's when you're driving down the hill, it switches off the engine, and then it coasts. So you have the less fuel consumptions, for example. So the car has become more intelligent. Let me go to the next video. Next slide. So next is the park assist. Okay, so we have in cities, we have all difficulties while parking the car. Some people are good at it, but some people are, with the side parking or with the parallel parking, sometimes it's very narrow and you have difficulties. So this park assist, it helps really, because it's thing is just you have to press a button, and then the car finds where is the space available, and it steers the car automatically, if it's a parallel or it's a side parking. So the driver has to accelerate and brake and shift gears, of course, but the steering is completely taken control by the car itself. So it basically uses the ultrasonic sensors and it scans the environment, and then your car automatically gets parked. And then the thing is, with the connected car, I mean, I think Krishna will be coming to it. Mr. Krishna will be coming to it. You can get the data from the information from the outside that, okay, where are the parking lots? So if the parking lots are free, and then automatically you can park the car with autonomous drive. That's the future of it. Let me show a small video of it. So it's a parallel parking, but it does it in different loops. Now this time it has been achieved in one loop. So the car, but if the car doesn't get it in one loop, it goes in different loops to try and park it in the middle of the parking lot. So it's good for people, for old people, and then for someone who can't park exactly. So let me go to the next system, which is available in the market. So night vision assistant. So we have lots of accidents on the roads during the nights where, I mean, there are lots of pedestrians we can't even detect, and then the accidents happen. So in high-end cars, in Audi and in all the luxury segments, you have this night vision assistant. So it's basically a thermal imaging camera. I think you have seen in the, you know, what's the thermal imaging camera? It detects when there's a heat, it getting radiated, it images it, and then it processes it, and then the image is shown on the display. Yeah, in the middle of the combi, we call. So for example, in Germany, it's very common that the people jog in the evenings after work on the country roads, and then accidents happen because the driver, he's an old driver, and then he reacts too late. So this system, for example, it detects the pedestrian here or the jogger who jogs on the road on the right side, and then the image is shown so that the driver gets, and then he reacts early so that the accident doesn't happen, and then the pedestrians are in safe zone, and even for him it's safe. So it's basically, you have the thermal image processing, and then the image is getting processed, and then it's shown in the car. And the camera should not get, it has to be visible all the time. So it has a separate nozzle for cleaning it, and then you have when it's cold, it gets blurred. So you have also a heating coil so that the camera remains always visible for that. So this is the image, you can see that. So which I've explained here, and then you can see the display where the driver gets notified. So not but the least, I have one more section called matrix LED lights. So these are like the newest LED lights which are available in the market at present, and it's really helpful for the driver. It assists the driver in many ways. For example, you are driving on the country roads like this, you have the to and fro traffic on the same lanes. So, but still you can drive on I-beams because you have the intelligent system, and these I-beams, when the car comes opposite side, it detects it, and then it dims automatically the portion of the car so that the driver doesn't get blurred, the opposite car. So it has 64 stages of LEDs. So it has a millions of combination of dimming it. So the driver gets always a long range of view, as well as a clear picture of the road always, so that he can react to the difficult situations early and then prevent accidents. So the lights also illuminate dynamically. That means if you are cornering it, the lights also corner automatically, and then it illuminates the roads, the corners exactly, so that the driver has always the full control on the environment. So this is a great one. It's a great assistance systems when you are driving on country roads or in highways where you have the full view, as well as you don't disturb the opposite traffic. So I have a small video of it. Then So it's a A7 Audi. So the light is not anymore the small halogen lights, or you have the we had usually halogen lights, but it's a very complex system. You have all the ECUs, microcontrollers, and then the cooling one for these LED systems, and it's highly intelligent too. You have lots more systems here, which can't be seen from outside. So you have the matrix LEDs in the big end too. It's for the dynamic turn signals. I think now I can show it. So it's the car is traveling with I-beam. That's important here. So there is a longer range. So there is the opposite car coming. So the car now itself dims the light, so that the driver doesn't get glad. And then once it detects that the car is gone, and then it goes again to I-beam. So that's the example I want to show for you. So for the cornering, it gives the optimum lighting vision. So okay, so I've just talking about level 1 and level 2, and level 3 is on the development. The Audi and the car manufacturers, Daimler, they want to bring by 2021 in the market level 3, where the driver can just sit and then read newspaper for example, in highways. But due to the legal issues, there is not enough legislations at present to safeguard the manufacturer. So it has been now withheld to release it, but the development is ongoing. Once the legal issues are cleared, I mean the legal issues, I mean, for example, there is accident. Who takes the responsibility? It's the car. I mean the company who manufactures the car, or the driver. So these issues need to be cleared. So those are ongoing, and it depends on the government and the policymakers who wants to work on it and then give the legislations. But from the manufacturer point of view, there are lots of development going on the autonomous driving, so that the cars get achieved the level 5, and then the car, you can just sleep on the car and then it takes the full control of it. So these are the latest developments in automotive technology. And then it's particularly for autonomous driving, I want to show a few examples so that you are aware of it, what is happening, and what's the current market, and then what you need to get prepared for, and then like what are the latest technologies available. That was my intention. I hope I have conveyed it, and then you have enjoyed the presentation. And the next I'll give to Mr. Krishna. He'll be explaining about the connected cars. So, and then he would then carry on from here on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Murugan. I will take over from now. Let me quickly share my screen. Just give me a second. So now, as Mr. Murugan has described, the future of the automobile industry is electrified. You have autonomous driving and you have connected car. So the electrified and autonomous driving, whatever it is, everything comes inside the car. I mean, so the inside of a car, all the ECUs, all the computers and everything, whatever technology is inside the car is the first two parts. Connected car is basically how a car communicates to the outside world. So let's have a deep dive into this technology, which is currently booming in the automotive field. This connected car, you can also call it as smart cars. I would also take you through multiple interesting parts of it. So what we'll be covering in this short webinar of connected car. So of course, let's start with what is a connected car. So of course, I'll start with the basics. Then let's go to the types of connected car services, what are available in the market. And then we'll have a short deep dive into the types of services what are available, like infotainment, V2X communication, and things like that. And then we'll move over to swarm intelligence. Swarm intelligence is can also be treated as data analytics, or you say artificial intelligence in this field. So I will give you a brief introduction. That itself is a very deep topic. I'll give you an overview how everything fits in together. And finally, I would also give you suggestions how you students can get into this bright field. So let's move on to a short background. This slide correlates with what Murugan has initially said. Every car has a number of ECUs in it. ECUs are nothing but microprocessors inside the car. For example, a brake unit has a brake ECU. So you have all the brakes are controlled by one microprocessor. So that is a ECU. That's an electronic control unit for the brakes. So similar to that, you have a ECU for the engine. You have an ECU for in-seat entertainment. You have ECU for the lighting and things like that. So there are almost 80 ECUs on an average nowadays. They're a bit more on a luxury car. So all these ECUs are very powerful. So you could maybe roughly estimate it to be 20 PCs power in one car. So that powerful is one car right now. And of course, all these microprocessors need to be coded. So whatever runs the car is a software at the end of the day. So this is embedded software classic. So you have almost 100 million lines of programming code. There are hundreds of engineers who work on this, the code development and testing and so on. That's a pretty complex system. And with this number of ECUs, you have also data communication between the microprocessors. That's a lot of data right now, because you have cameras, you have radars, you have things like that, which almost take something like 20 megabyte per second data transfer. So in total, on a car, on an average, you have 25 GB of data being transferred inside the car per hour. I'm talking about just the inside the car, nothing to do with Wi-Fi or mobile networks, just the inside the car. So there's a lot of stuff going on inside the car. Let's see how this data is used for the car to communicate with the outer world, as I told you. Then we come to this part of connected car. So what is a connected car? As I told you, connected car is something, a car which can communicate with the outside world. So you have the outside world could be another car. Outside world could be a phone, a smartphone, what you have. Outside world could be a road infrastructure like traffic lights, getting information from them, or a parking backend. So you get information about the parking situation in a particular park garage. You also have connection from the car to the 4G or 5G mobile networks. So all these are basically the ecosystems outside the car. So that's everything is just the connected car. So that's very basic definition of the connected car, I would say. And let's see, what are the advantages of this connected car? So the car has become smart. What does it mean to the end customer? So that means when a car is connected to the outside world, you get the real-time information from the road infrastructure, for example, and then it can improve the road safety. So the car can optimally brake at the positions where the road is not good, or it can optimize the speed, for example. The car can also give you an alert, give a driver an alert when an ambulance is approaching as an emergency alert, or if something is happening in the surroundings which you need to be taken care of. So things like that, you get information in the car which improves the road safety. You can respond to the emergency situations better, and also you can increase the efficiency of the car, of course. So that's, I would say, those are the major advantages of it. There are multiple other advantages too, which we'll be seeing shortly. And the last point would be the swarm intelligence. So basically all the data that a car collects can be sent to a backend for processing using the big data stuff. So you can identify patterns and then use it for the other cars. So all these technologies come together for, I would say, the implementing the autonomous car for the future. So as Mr. Murugan has explained, the level 3, level 4, level 5 of autonomous cars, they are highly autonomous. Level 4 and level 5 doesn't even need a driver to drive. So at that point of time, you need information, as much as possible information for the car to be safe and to be networked in the real-time world. So connected car helps this transformation. So as I told you, let's get quickly into this. What are the types of connected car services which are available in the market right now? You could divide all the connected car services into 3 major categories, I could say. The first one would be the infotainment services. Infotainment is just information plus entertainment. So you have, so it's a combination, that's the word, infotainment. And you have telematics, whatever the car deals with the cellular 4G or 5G networks, and how the car plays a role in this cloud IoT, and also how the car receives a GPS data signal and things like that. That's telematics. And then you have the interesting part, that is vehicle to X communication, how the vehicle communicates with the smartphone, how the vehicle communicates with other vehicle, and so on. So these 3 categories are, I would say, the major categories in this connected car services. Yeah, all this put together is a smart car, I would say, simple. So let's go forward and have a look at the infotainment services. How are they? So you can see that this is the brand new Audi A8 car. This is one of the advanced cars what we have in the market as of now. As you can see, the services which are available, the infotainment and the telematic services are, for example, the weather reports, news. You have calendar. You can see appointments from your calendar inside the car, so that you have a particular time scheduling and things like that. And you can use music services like Spotify. You can use services like GPS, the navigation systems built inside the car, and then also the connected car infotainment helps you to find the right parking spaces, get the information about the available parking spaces on the road which you're traveling, for example. It also provides you the service of Wi-Fi, and also connecting to the mobile networks outside in the outer world. And the important, I would say, would be this Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, so that you can integrate your smartphone into the car's electronics, something like that. So it's done using Bluetooth or the NFC, so that you have all the settings inside your smartphone in the car, and you can attend phone calls, you can attend to the messages, it will read out, you have text-to-speech recognition and things like that. So all these things combined are infotainment and telematic services. So that's basically whatever you can use inside the car, and plus how the car communicates with the mobile networks and the outer GPS and things like that. So you might be wondering, how do we use this infotainment services inside the car? For that, I have taken a photo from inside of this Audi A8. So this is the Audi A8 interior. As you can see, yeah, this is a pretty luxurious car. This costs around something like 3 crore Indian rupees. This is, as I told you, the smartest car in the market as of now. It has a number of sensors, and in the interior, you have a lot of touch panels here. The touch panel here, it is called as infotainment head unit. So there you can, it's basically a touch screen, and you have all the applications just like a smartphone on this thing. So you can use, for example, this is a navigation system. You're using it, or maybe a radio, media, or any the music services, news, and things like that. So they're all used inside this screen. And what what you can see now on the dashboard of the car, basically where usually the speedometers and the RPM measurement is there. It's a completely LCD screen. It's called as virtual cockpit. So this is basically a connection to this infotainment unit. So here you can see the important information, what is required for the car. So for the driver in this case. So you have the speed information, you have the RPM information, you get the navigation information, which route to be taken and things like that. So that you don't need to be distracted to this one. So seeing a dashboard is easier than turning your head and looking into it. So of course, so you get it in a form where the driver can easily understand it and then use this information. So there are two screens, I would say. The infotainment head unit on the left side, this is the master, and this is the slave here. So the communication happens, whatever you select here will also be displayed over there. So the infotainment services are used in primarily in these screens, and the telematics are basically it's a SIM card, I would say, inside the car. It's what we call in industry is a gateway. So you use these gateways to communicate with this. You have either 4G or 5G networks. I mean, coming up are the 5G networks. Okay, so that's about the infotainment services. Let's explore how it is with the vehicle to X communication. So what vehicle to X, what does the X mean? X means anything from another vehicle or a data center, nowadays a cloud. It can be road infrastructure or a smartphone. So these are basically the X. So vehicle, car can communicate with this vehicle or data center, road infrastructure, smartphone. This is the basics, and the vehicle to X communication opens up a lot of new possibilities. As I told you, this is a driving factor for the future of automotive industry. So basically the autonomous cars and stuff like that. So this is a quite important driving factor, as I can explain. So let's just see and have a look at what are all the vehicle to X communication use cases on the market. So as I told you, vehicle to X, so you have the X could be a backend in this case. So a backend would take a data from all the cars traveling in certain unit for that, and then use it to generate some patterns and then make a prediction based on it and then give it back to the cars. So that would be done, and that comprises of some of the use cases here. And some of the use cases are just a combination of a car communicating with the car in front of it or car in the sides of it. So let's just go through the use cases starting from the top left. So basically the forward collision warning. So you have, for example, a set of cars, maybe on a highway, you have cars going at in foreign countries, they go at around 120 kilometer per hour. So continuously going at that. At that point, it needs to be very alert, and you need to brake at the right time just to avoid an accident. So at such speeds. So what happens is the cars can communicate with themselves, between themselves. It's a short network of the cars. If a car in the front suddenly brakes for some reason, or maybe has a breakdown, and then slows down abruptly, so that the cars behind it get the information immediately, and then they start braking, so that you can avoid an accident with the car which is slowing down in the front of you. So that's how you avoid a forward collision. And then in this case, it would be a warning for the driver because it's still a driver-driven car, so a driver would brake it. But in future, if there is no driver, it's a piloted car, the car brakes it. That's how it is. And it can also, using this network of the adjacent cars, it can give you a warning when you're, for example, overtaking a car and the car is coming, and another car coming from the opposite direction, so that you can avoid collision. In this case, it gives you an alert saying, oh, don't overtake now because the car is coming on the opposite side. Sometimes you can't see the car coming from the opposite side from some reasons, like you have something obstructing your view, like a tree, or I don't know. There are many things. So in this case, you get an alert saying do not overtake now, and then you prohibit from overtaking and then stay on the lane which you are at. So that would be do not pass warning. And the next one would be blind intersection. Blind intersections are nothing but it's in built up areas, like you have huge buildings where there are crossroads. So a guy coming from here on this road can't see a car coming from the parallel road because there are buildings in between. So at that point, when you enter to the intersection and the guy coming from the perpendicular road, he just comes in and then there is a collision here. So in this case, these cars have as I told you, the adjacent cars have this car to X communication network. And immediately you get a warning saying, okay, there's a car approaching, and then brake down. And then you can avoid this type of collision on the crossroads. So the next one would be extension of this forward collision warning in case of a traffic jam. So you have a traffic jam built up in front. So maybe something like half a kilometer in front of you. There are a lot of the completely jammed traffic. So all the cars are just standing still. And the car which you are in is driving at 120 kmph. So it would be good to be warned ahead of it so that you can brake optimally instead of seeing at the last minute and then braking. So this can be very risky and then also cause accidents. So basically it also can give you a queue warning. Queue is basically a traffic jam. It says, oh, traffic jam alert in front of you. In 200 meters, there is a blockage of traffic, so that you can optimize your speed, slow down, and then reach the traffic jam with an optimal speed. It's very important. The next one would be a curb speed warning. So the Car2X communication in this case is not the driving factor, but the navigation. So navigation knows where the curves are, and it also can give you information how the banking angles of the curves are. So depending on the banking angles, of course, there is a risk of whether you slip out of this. If you go above a certain speed, the car can slip out of this road. So it would give you a warning recommending you for optimal speed for this curve. So for example, you take a curve, it says, okay, now you go at 50 kmph, so that you are stable and then you are safe in this case. So that would be a curve speed warning. And then you can slow down as a driver and then you make the curve. So primarily the information comes from the navigation and also the car sensors. The car also has a gyrometer, accelerometer in this case, and then it can sense the banking angles in it. So it's a very complex calculation. The next one would be cooperative adaptive cruise control and platooning. We call it platoon. Adaptive cruise control is something which Mr. Murugan has just explained. So this basically adaptive cruise control is if you turn it on, you use a radar inside the car to maintain a certain distance with the car in front of you, so that the speed is constant and you maintain this constant distance continuously. So it also does it with the cars on the side, so that you stay in one grid, I would say. So when the cars are connected here, in this case, all the vehicles connected in the nearby grid, they can travel on a constant speed. Like for example, all the cars traveling in 120 km/h, maintaining a distance of 100 meters in between themselves, just go and they reach the destination safely and on time. So that's how it works. So this is very, very useful for the future of this autonomous driving. The cars need to be smart and they need to kind of go with the flow of the traffic especially on highways. So basically this is called as platooning. Platooning is nothing but you have a grid of cars, for example, the 20 of cars which are in the small grid on a highway. The whole grid moves at 120 km/h, and the whole thing, it's a constant speed. So that is just platooning in this case. So let's see vulnerable road user alerts. So vulnerable road user alerts, in this case, if you're driving in a city where they're full of people crossing the roads, you have a cyclist crossing the road. Usually they have pedestrian signals on the crossings. So this information from this pedestrian signals, the traffic signals, if you can get it in your car, okay, there is a signal ahead in 200 meters and it's green for pedestrians. So of course you need to stop. So there are people moving on it. So the cities have become smart cities, which can detect people who are crossing the road. I mean, you have this the sensors on the zebra crossings where they detect people who are crossing the road, and this is all in the infrastructure of the smart city. The car basically uses this information by connecting it to the infrastructure. So that is V to X infrastructure. Get this information and then alert the drivers so that they can stop safely, and then also the pedestrians who are crossing the road, they are safe. That's how it works. So it's a collaborative work between smart cities and smart cars in this case. The next one would be the parking and also charging for electrical cars. So this is more of a swarm intelligence, as I told you, the data analytics part of it. So you have a car, for example, going through a city, and on the left side, on the side of the road, you see cars parked. Okay, so this car has certain sensors like radar. You have these ultrasonic sensors which can detect the environment around the car. So the car, as it passes, it can detect where there is a parking space free on the side of the road. So this car doesn't need to park. It's just going to some destination. A driver is driving. It detects that, okay, oh, there is a parking space free here. And then it takes the data, sends it to the backend, the data center. And there's a car coming behind this car. They are searching for a parking. So they say, okay, I want to find a parking space in the infotainment head unit. And then they get this information from the server saying, oh, there is a parking space free, which this is the same information which the previous car has sent, so that the car behind it will get information and then say, okay, this is a space free, so I can park it here. So that's how you can improve the efficiency. In this case, this is also a service which is made available from the parking, say Parkopedia or some companies like that. They do this data analytics. So they get the information, process it, and also they sell it as a service to the cars. So you give information to take information. That's how it is. So you get parking, and also similar to the charging also. So you have like a maybe electrical cars like Tesla or an Audi e-tron. You need to find charging spots. So charging spots are like parking spaces, nothing much. And you have a charging place where you can just connect the cable and start charging. So these are everywhere in the city. So you need to also find a free spot. That's always a problem. So as a car leaves a parking space where this charger is there, the charger says that, oh, I'm free now, and then it gives the data to the backend, and the person who wants to charge his car will see it in his infotainment head unit saying, okay, on this street, on this slot, you have a free charging station now, so you go there. So that's how the parking and charging works in combination with the swarm intelligence or the data analytics, I would say. The next one would be, again, a connection of the vehicle to the infrastructure of the city. That would be traffic signals, for example, in this case. So you take an example, you start driving a car from your home and you want to reach a destination B, which is 10 kilometers from your home. So you start driving a car, so you go to the first signal. In cities, there are, at least in this 10 kilometers, you have at least, I don't know, maybe 30 signals or more than that, which stop your flow. It's just every time you approach a signal, there is a red light, and then you got to stop. And then you wait, and then you again accelerate the car, and then you come to a speed, and then brake, and then accelerate, and then brake. So it consumes a lot of petrol. In this case, it's not efficient, I would say, in terms, and it's also not good for the environment because you are also polluting it. So in this case, this service, what it does is it gets the information from the traffic signals infrastructure on the real-time basis, and this is consolidated in one backend. This information is sent to the car which you're driving. So you, for example, you sit in the car and then put a destination where you're going in the navigation. And then the navigation automatically gets this data from the backend saying, oh, hey, okay, you have this 10 kilometers to cover, and this in 10 kilometers, you have 30 signals coming up. So all these 30 signals are switching to red, green, or yellow, depending on the certain time intervals. So this happens in every 2 minutes, for example. So car automatically calculates it depending on an algorithm saying, okay, you start going at around 20 kilometer per hour speed slowly, so that you as soon as you reach the first signal, you see a green, and then you go forward, and then it shows in the display saying, okay, the next signal will be green in 10 seconds. So you go there, and the next signal is also green. So you basically don't need to stop. You just keep kind of cruising until your destination. So this is a very important part. In this case, since you go at a constant speed, you're not accelerating, braking so frequently, the cars are also very efficient. So that would be the connection of vehicle to the infrastructure. And the last one, which I've already said this is the emergency vehicle alert. So if there is ambulance approaching in a traffic, all the cars will be notified that there's ambulance approaching, give the way. So which is very important, I would say, because as of now, an ambulance approaching in a traffic, it is quite horrible that they get stuck in the traffic and no one gives a way for them and things like that. So if everyone gets information, okay, there's ambulance, please give a way, so that they can somehow move to the side and the ambulance passes. So that would be one example. You can also use it for the fire services, the emergency police vehicles, things like that. So basically, whatever emergency services which are traveling on the road, so you can give them for priority. And this information is sent to you in the car saying, okay, now a vehicle approaching, please give side. Okay, so these are, I would say, in-depth information about how the vehicle to X communication is advantageous for us. What are the use cases in it? There are much more number of use cases which I didn't explain it here, but this field is something which is still booming, extending, innovating. There is a lot of potential for you in the future to make a difference in this field. So I would like to take a few moments to tell about the swarm intelligence, which I have been referencing throughout my presentation. Swarm intelligence is basically, it's very simple. You use it in a everyday life nowadays using Google Maps. I'll just explain you what this is. So it's basically you collect data from individual devices, and then you collect this data in a cloud or in a data center, whatever. So you collect, like, this is a huge like hundreds of thousands of so basically GBs or terabytes of data just collected per hour. So all this data is analyzed for recognizing some patterns in it, and these patterns can be concluded to some predictions, and these predictions will be served to the cars. So I know it seems a bit complicated. I'll take an example of this Google Maps, which you use every day. So the navigation of Google Maps. This is basically a good example of the data analytics field, or the swarm intelligence, I would say. So how do you use Google Maps? So when you install this Google application, it asks for you, Google wants to read your GPS data. You say accept. Only then you can use the Google Maps. When you do this accept, that means you use the Google Maps, of course, and you also send the information, the GPS information where you are. For example, the place where you are has a traffic. This information is sent to the Google servers. So at this point, you are a user and also a provider. So a Google Maps application, if you are traveling from point A to point B, it shows you the route. For example, as you can see here, you have this blue where there's no traffic, you have yellow, some traffic, red, a lot of traffic, and then again yellow and blue. So and depending on that, you predict that, for example, point A to point B, I would need 57 minutes to travel. So this is a very dynamic calculation. So in this route, there are many users. Probably there are hundreds and thousands of users. They don't necessarily need to take this same route, but they can they'd be traveling in this roads around, I would say. And the information, the real-time information of the traffic, if they are all using the Google Maps, this information will be sent to the Google server. Google server processes it, and then also they make this prediction saying, okay, oh, there is a traffic here. A lot of people using Google Maps are stuck here. So you have all these red signals here. So as a customer, you just use a Google Maps, start the Google Maps and see, oh, there is traffic here, there is a free thing here, or else maybe you can use another route so that you can reach the destination. So it's basically a very good example of data analytics field, I'd say. So as a user and also as a provider for this data. So in this case, the devices are the smartphones and the users are the persons using this Google Maps. It's very simple. Okay, so this is, let's say, a brief introduction to the data analytics part of it. This is also a very booming field. I would say Google Maps is just the starting of it. You have a lot of services coming up. It's not just the automotive sector, it's also the industrial sector, where the data analytics are being used, Industry 4.0, and so many other new fields are opening up, which uses such kind of breakthrough technologies. So I'll go further, and coming to this, the last slide of mine, that's basically, I would like to give you a brief introduction, maybe how do you get into this field of connected car. So yes, you have already seen how how cool the technologies are and how bright the future of this technologies is. So probably some of you would really are interested in pursuing a career in this field. So I would just give you a short introduction about what are the skill sets required. The skill sets required would be, it's very much into the field of computer science and IT, I would say very strongly, because there's a lot of backends, there's a lot of cloud infrastructure we are talking about. So you would need the Java for developing the web services on the cloud or on the data center. Of course, the browser part of it, the HTML and stuff like that. And you also need to have the idea of the databases. So in this case, the databases which are in use in the industry right now are MongoDB, you have SQL, you have also the big data stuff, so which are in the data analytics, I would say. And coming to the cloud part of it, because everything is nowadays migrated to the cloud technologies. The leading cloud technologies being used by the automotive sector is Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure. So the big 5 industries of the world, I mean, big 5 automotive industries of the world, they use this Amazon Web Services or the Azure. So you can't go wrong in learning this technologies, because every cloud has its own certain features. So I would say you can learn it over the internet. You can go to Amazon Web Services, you get tutorials which you can have a deep insight. How do you deploy applications? How do you develop applications? Similar to that, you also have that on Azure. So this you can do as a part of self-learning, or maybe you can go to some courses. This is very important. And the last one would be the data analytics. As I told you, this itself is a huge broad field, I would say. It's also involves a lot of say pattern recognition, a lot of what do you say, the algorithm development and things like that. So that would be one broad field which I can refer to. And which companies are currently in the field of this connected car? To start with, all the car manufacturers like the Mahindra, Audi, BMW, Benz, Ford, General Motors, and so on. They're all into this connected car as the car manufacturers. And also companies like Bosch, Continental, as suppliers of this automotive companies are also in developing connected car infrastructure and services. And also you have these IT companies like Accenture and Capgemini, which are, and so on. There are many other IT companies which are into this field. So that's how you can get into this field of connected car. So you need to have the skill set, and you also know the companies now. So that would be the short introduction of how the connected car is and things like that. So let's now the session is open for questions from the students.
Thank you, Chaitanya and Ganeshan, for your informative session. Student, do you have any questions? You please raise your hands. Please raise your hands if you have any questions. Bhargavi, do you have any question? Unmute yourself and ask.
think I got a question, like whether there are some disadvantages of these cars.
Okay. You please carry on.
Yeah, I'll just take the question. I mean, yeah, for any system, for any new technology, you have always advantages and disadvantages. For example, yeah, with the connected cars or with autonomous driving, you can always act the cars. So there are laws are coming up for the cyber security. I think when Mr. Krishna is working on it on his in his Audi. It's you have specific laws where you develop the software and then in such a way that you can't hack the car, and then the systems has to conform to these legislations. So yeah, the future, there's always loopholes. So until now, I've seen that there was a report in GM. There were two experts, hacking experts. They could hack the car and they could brake and then accelerate the car automatically from outside. They could. So it's a big disadvantage, but it needs to be cleared, all the legal issues. But apart from that, if you see the advantages, there are plenty, because it contributes to the safety of the passengers as well as the driver, and it gives the comfort for us. And then we can't just leave behind the technologies. We have to just go forward it and get used to it, and then develop a legal framework so that it's safe.
Uday Bhaskar, do you have any question?
Yes, sir. My name is Uday Bhatkar. What is the how to benefit of automobile industry, sir?
Your
So
question is on the digital automobiles, or can you repeat the question, please?
He is unmuted. 1 second. Uday Bhaskar, ask your question once again.
My name is Uday. My name is Uday Bhatkar, sir.
Ask your question. Ask your question.
How to usable to the automobile industry hospitality and children.
Not understood.
Sir, आज को तो one question. आज को
Okay.
Okay. Probably he was asking something like, what are the advantages of the digital car for the automobile industry? I think so. So that's something which
Yes.
just Ms. Murugan has just explained a bit ago.
it's primarily for the comfort as well as for the safety. That's the primary goal for the manufacturers.
what is the type of car service at?
Pardon, what's the stage of?
What is the type of car service at?
I didn't get the question. Sorry.
Yes. There was a problem with the mic.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Hamid sir.
Yeah, it's
You may
Hamid
ask
here.
your question.
Sure, sir. My questions, I have 3 questions for you, sir. The first question is, given all the, firstly, I want to thank you for the brilliant presentation. Second one is, what about the network strain, sir? Because we are running a lot of data. It is, you said, one car produces 25 GBs of data, and suppose there are like thousands of cars like that. So it's going to be, what's the network strain? Number 2 is, how about the privacy? And number 3 is, can the development cycle be satisfied? Like how do you see some unintended benefits and challenges in these cars?
Okay, so that's a very good question. I'll start with the first one. So the network strain, basically. So right now, the connected cars, basically all the smart cars which use this connected services have LTE as their basis. And so not every information is communicated to the backend, but it uses a set of certain protocol which compresses the information, and only relevant data sets are transmitted. So as of now, the network strain is foreseeable. It's not much in the future, but when this whole thing goes into this autonomous driving and the connected car uses it, the more and more services which are available, there'll be definitely a lot of strain on the networks. But for that, you have this 5G. So the whole automotive industry is moving towards a 5G and this narrowband IoT, what you call. Then you have broader bandwidth in this case available for such communication. So the second question is related to the privacy of the services. So basically, just like on your smartphone, if you're browsing on a Chrome, you have incognito browser. So this guarantees you to an extent of privacy, like it doesn't save cookies and things like that. So similar to that, in a car infotainment head unit, you have something called as a privacy mode. So you just click on it and no data is sent from the car. So basically, if you click on the privacy mode, no data will also be received in this case because you'll be completely disconnected from it. So it's, as I told you, it's always give and take connection in terms of this intelligent services. So you can use this privacy mode for any reason. Someone wants a privacy in this car, so you can use it. So no data is sent, and it's completely in control of the user. And the last question is more towards the development of this web services. I think right now in industry, we use something called as agile development. So agile development is, so you have a big product to be developed at the end of the day. So you don't attack it in just one way and then you just develop the product at a time. So after that, you develop it in small bits and pieces, like and we call it sprints. So like in 2 weeks, you develop you reach a certain aim. In the next 2 weeks, you expand that, and then you reach a bigger aim, and something like that. After 1 year of such cycles, small cycles, you have the product at the end of the day. And that's how we can accommodate new requirements flexibly into the development cycle, because this is a field where it's very dynamic and the requirements of customers change very quickly. So you can't just take 2 years to develop one product and then keep it on the road. But in 2 years, it's already outdated. So how do you tackle it with this agile technology?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chaitanya. One question is there. Using of high beam LED lights can't be harmful to eyes, sir. One question. Any other technologies that may be used like microprocessor programming, other languages like Python to pursue career?
Okay, I'll just take the question.
Yeah.
I mean, the I-beam is, that's why I said, if you don't have any matrix LED lights, when you use the I-beam, I mean, the opposite driver will get glare, of course. It's not good for the eyes for the driver who is coming opposite side. That's why we have this technology called matrix technology, where it's like a matrix. I mean, the car detects the opposite traffic and then it dims it automatically, so that the driver who is driving, he has the long distance because of the I-beam, and it doesn't affect the other driver too, the opposite driver. So it's not harmful for the driver actually with I-beam because of this technology. The first question. The second question with the ECU, I mean, the Python is not the only the script you use it. Basically, until now, with all these driver assistance systems, you use the model-based development, because you write the functions, because it's all about functions. You get so much of data from the car, from the sensors. For example, engine has almost 30 to 40 sensors. You get the data, you get the coolant temperature sensor or the speed sensor of the crankshaft, or all the temperature sensors in the exhaust gas. These sensors, these inputs in the real time, I mean, the program is written in the MATLAB and Simulink, first of all. So if you want to be more like a functional developer for the ECU, you have to be strong in all this model-based programming like Simulink or MATLAB. And then you try to, but in all this autonomous driving, they are coming up with C, C++, because they are like basic programming languages. And then you can write your codes there. Or else you can go for model-based development and then develop into a C code, and then you can flash it in the ECU. So it's about, thing is, you don't have to be confined to a programming language. As a student point of view, just learn how do you, because languages will change for sure in company to company. So try to understand the concepts of the programming as well as the functions, how to implement it. And I think when you're aware of it, when you know that, I think you can adapt to any programming language. It doesn't matter. It's so the skill set need to be more towards understanding the language rather than concentrating on some names of the language.
Okay, for your questions, no hands were raised. If hands were raised, but they are not unmuting.
Sorry.
Prashant, do you have any question?
Hello.
Prashant, do you have any question?
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
please
sir.
ask.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sir, please can you repeat the swarm intelligence, sir, what you have discussed just now?
Yeah, so I mean, is there a concrete question in this case, or should I just go through?
Just
the-
give your concept, sir. I didn't listen exactly what did you share actually. Just once repeat it, reiterate it, sir, again.
No, YouTube link is there, na? You go through that. There will be the entire session. What we have so far discussed, what we so far presented, will be there in the YouTube.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So if you have any concrete questions regarding the swarm intelligence, you can mail it to us. I'll give you an email address shortly.
Vijay Lakshmi, ma'am, do you have any
Hello,
question?
sir.
Do you have any question?
Sir,
Yeah, you please ask your question. No. Okay, thank you. Vamshi is there. Vamshi?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to speak anything?
Nothing, sir. Thank you so much for giving the opportunity to interact with Chalapathi Institute of Technology. At the same time, I think I saw few professors from other universities also attended. It's like nice to see everyone. And yeah, this is our contact details in India, in Noida and the Guntur. And if you have any doubts on any topic related to recent trends in automotive sector, please you can reach by phone or by email. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Vamsi. I express my sincere thanks to our beloved chairman, Y.V. Anjaneyal garu, and secretary Y. Sujit Kumar garu for their encouragement to conduct these type of webinars for the benefit of students, research scholars, and faculty. And my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Chaitanya and Ganeshan garu for their versatile presentation. It is informative, sir. I express my sincere thanks to mechanical department students and faculty for their continuous support for the conducting of this webinar. I thank all the participants for their patience listening. Once this program is sent, feedback from is also sent to your chat box and YouTube. You may fill it and you will get the certificate within 2 working days. Thank you, one and all. Chaitanya,
Yes, sir.
thank you. Ganeshan garu, thanks for your informative session.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you also for the warm welcome and also the good webinar. We also enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So even I think the students, I think they have benefited a little bit from us,
Yeah,
hopefully.
yeah. Sure,
And
definitely.
then it was enjoyable for us to impart our industry knowledge, what we have gained.
Yeah. Vamsi, special thanks to you. Because of you only this program is there today. And thank you very much.
My pleasure, sir. We want to
Looking
do
forward to
more
conduct
sessions.
like this these informative sessions like this.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. We will plan, sir.
Thank you very much. Now the session is winding up.